In 2012, I made a decision that would forever change my life. I took everything that I had, all my net worth, my cash, everything, and I put it in Bitcoin. Just 4 years later, I woke up to the realization that I would never have to work another day in my life if I didn't want to. Today, I'm here to tell you guys exactly what I did and the conviction that I had. But at the time, I didn't have the storyboard painted out for me crystal clear like we do today. And so today, guys, you're in the fortunate position where there is just as much appreciation, in my opinion, left in this crypto, altcoin, and Bitcoin market as there was for me back then. And today we're going to talk about why there's never been a better opportunity in our lifetime to make life-changing gains. And this is one of the most important Bitcoin videos or crypto videos that you will have ever watched. And I highly encourage you guys to share this with your friends, your family, and everybody that you care about, because all paths lead to a massive inflow into the crypto, Bitcoin, and altcoin markets ahead. All right, guys, so in this video, we're going to talk about everything that's going on because we need to zoom out for a second. The markets looked bloody red earlier. And I just had to refilm this video because the sound didn't work. Surprise, surprise. And during that time, what do you know? The shorts got liquidated. And that's one of the big lessons, guys, is if I would have been a trader and got scared every time that I saw the market correcting, I would have never been in the position I am today. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins, the good ones, are some of the most sound assets, the best assets in the world to hold for the long term. And so in this video, I'm going to make the case for that. And you will see exactly why I'm so convinced that right now is one of the best times in our life to completely change you and your family's life. All right, guys, let's get into what's going on in the world, some of these big things. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Kyle Chasse. I've been in crypto for 12 years. I'm bringing you on this channel everything that I'm learning and actions as I'm doing them along the way. I've got an entire research team behind me on this, and we're bringing you guys all the alpha as we learn it. So let's get into this, guys. Without further ado, if you like the video, it would mean a lot to me. And let's get into what's going on in South Korea. So
South Korea just announced that it is banning short selling. This is the fourth time that the country is banning stock short selling. But unlike in the previous three cases when there were external shock and global financial crisis, this time a lot of investors are saying the ban has been introduced when there is no global financial crisis that are leading to the market sell-off. South Korean authorities said Sunday that they are introducing the full-scale ban on short selling, saying that there has been cases of massive naked short selling which are illegal in South Korea that have been hurting the market's role of finding prices and distorting the market. And they also blamed that there are growing uncertainties in the market since the Israel-Hamas war that make the authorities need to respond preemptively in the case of increased global uncertainty.
Good, right? So they're preventing short selling to get ahead of the market and prevent any uncertainty, and they think this will stop a market collapse. Good, right? That should solve all the problems, right? But not so fast, right? Because what happened back in September 19th, 2008? The Securities and Exchange Commission, acting in concert with the UK Financial Services Authority, took temporary emergency action to prohibit short selling in financial companies, protect the integrity and quality of the securities markets, and strengthen investor confidence. Sound familiar? Exactly like South Korea is doing right now. And what happened immediately, just 10 short days after that?
Down 1.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally across these markets.
Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate.
We're red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%.
We're down over 16%. Dow at the same time has fallen about 18%.
The stock market is now down 21%.
Because we're now down 43%.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
Two-year note yields went from 190 to 166 in the blink of an eye.
On the NASDAQ, everything and more has been completely wiped out.
It was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
From the financial capital of the world.
So that didn't prevent that. And why am I telling you this, guys? Why is a potential equities collapse or recession a good thing for the crypto markets? Well, because it's going to lead to massive money printing, and we know what happens when that happens. We saw the COVID crash of March 2020 and the injection of capital and stimulus that just sent us into the 2021 bull market. And the markets are in a way worse condition than they were back then. And as we get into this video, I'm going to explain exactly why that is, and get the picture for you. So let's go to the FII, Future Investment Initiative. This is a roundtable of 11 of the most powerful financial asset managers in the entire world. Guys like Ray Dalio, Larry Fink, Jamie Dimon, the guys from Saudi Aramco and PIF sitting at the table. So let's listen to what Larry has to say when he's asked about the fact, will there be a recession in 2024? And the answer, he says, is no, and we're going to find out why. But the reason I showed you this, and we're talking about the stock market potentially collapsing, is because today we had a big pullback and everybody got scared. Shorts opened up. By the way, I will never short Bitcoin, never, ever, ever. It's an asset that in my mind is going to appreciate like crazy in the future. And so if you're shorting Bitcoin, you're betting against it, and that is just fighting an uphill battle in my mind. So let's watch this real quick.
Hard landing or a soft landing in the United States, or you just can't project?
We will not see a hard or a soft landing in 2024. The amount of fiscal stimulus that is just entering the economy, which is very inflationary. The CHIPS Act, the IRA, and the Infrastructure Act, about $970 billion. The largest peacetime, non-pandemic moment of fiscal stimulus. At the same time, our central bank is trying to arrest the economy.
So what he just said is that there was the CHIPS Act, and so there was $980 billion from Biden administration. It was the largest stimulus outside of a pandemic or wartime. This was a couple weeks ago, before it was after the Israel and Palestine thing, but still it wasn't a direct U.S. war that was involved. So he says it's outside of wartime and pandemic, largest stimulus. So we see the stimulus coming in. The money printer is already being turned on. And that's the point I want to make here, guys, was what's going on. So let's look at some more data here. Citizens Bank, if you guys weren't aware of this, I don't know why it's not being covered in the media, but Citizens Bank becomes the 5th U.S. bank to fail in 2023. Citizens Bank is the 5th bank to fail in the nation this year. Other failed banks list show Heartland Tri-State Bank, First Republic Bank, Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and First Citizens Bank, and other banks shut down in 2023. The shutdown started on March 10th, 2023, with First Citizens Bank going down under. So we have the banking collapse, and now let's go watch Elio Trade, what he has to say about this, because he covers a nice little segment on this. Let's watch it.
Bank failed, and it was seized by the FDIC. Check this out. In the FDIC statement, Citizens Bank in Iowa, there's actually a bigger Citizens Bank. People were confusing this. It's not the big Citizens Bank. That's like the 15th largest bank. This is a small bank. But this is just a previewer, a little taster, so you understand what's going to happen when eventually these little banks can't afford to cover their losses. They have all this commercial real estate loans, student loans, and other types of debt that are simply not going to get paid back. Credit card debt, auto loans, all of these things are starting to get defaulted on as things get harder for the US consumer. Check this out. Here's what happens when they seize the bank. They go ahead and they assume all the deposits. The FDIC assumes all the deposits. And so the path is clear. If there's a bank in trouble, the government takes over and effectively bails them out. Whatever that number is, that can happen, boom, like this. And that, to me, is what's going to happen in a recession. Either that, or they let banks fail and you have sort of widespread societal civil unrest. And I don't think that any ruling government would let that happen. It would kind of erode all faith in the current economic system we have.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare. If they let the banks fail, they would lose, all the public would lose trust in the banking system. It would be complete pandemonium and chaos. And when we had the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, Janet Yellen came out and saying that they will not let that your money's secure and safe in bank. They will not let that happen. So as these banks start to go down, and we'll get into some of the data in just a minute here about the increasing skyrocketing debt in both the U.S., house payers, auto loan payers. Here you can see from the auto loans, late car payments hit highest peak since 1990s. So borrowers are falling behind on car loan payments as the highest interest rate in 27 years. And subprime borrowers, those are the borrowers with below 640 credit score, are struggling the most to keep up with their monthly payments, according to the latest data from Fitch. So, as inflation incurs, the interest rates will remain high. And as interest rates continue to remain high, that means that not only is the CPI increasing cost of all the goods, you guys know this, your groceries are more expensive, your gas is more expensive, electricity is more expensive, everything is increasing in price, but also interest rates are getting higher. So you've got increased APR on credit cards, on auto loans, on mortgages. It's more difficult to pay these off. Furthermore, we've got more loans failing. Commercial real estate is brutal. No one wants to be in offices anymore. They can't afford it. So everything is starting to collapse here. And guess who's going to have to bail all these people out? Yes, it's the US government. And the way they're going to do that is printing money. Now, if we see a fail in the stock market, a black swan event, it's possible it could happen. But we already start to see this narrative change with Larry Fink, and we'll get into that in just a minute. We'll play that video, that clip for you. But if we get a severe collapse, we are coming into the year of an election, right? We are 7 weeks away from the new year, and 2024, the Democrats need, if they're going to have any chance of winning the re-election, they have to have strong economy. So they cannot deal with a fiscal collapse, and they're going to have, there's only one way to get out of that, and that is to stimulate the economy, print more money, causes more inflation, which causes the debasement of the spending and purchasing power of the dollar. And so that's one of the things I wanted to get into here in this video, in this video that I'm making, was essentially, the point is that we could possibly see, and we saw, many months ago, Balaji making this bet that Bitcoin's going to $1 million fast. He said it was going to go within a few months, right? He saw all of this happening. This data has been around for a while. So the chance of Bitcoin going back to $1 million is back on the table again, right? As we start to look at things like here, the US debt, right? $33 trillion, almost $34 trillion. That's the U.S. national debt. Look at the total debt. This includes how U.S. total debt includes households, business, state and local governments, financial institutions, and the federal government. The United States is $103 trillion in debt. This is going up like crazy for total personal debt, $25 trillion. Credit card debt just climbing like crazy. Student loans climbing like crazy, right? So massive, massive debt. Now, the only way out of this is to print more money, inflating the dollar, decreasing purchasing power. So Bitcoin could go to $1 million fairly quickly if the US continues to print at alarming rates. It doesn't mean, though, just to be clear, that $1 million Bitcoin, because the dollar value decreases, is going to have the same purchasing power. But what we will see with money printing is the enormous rise in the price of Bitcoin compared to the US dollar and other fiat currency pairs. All right, so guys, if you're not following me on X, go do that, because I drop all kinds of breaking news there and a lot of data. You'll probably see that before I make these videos. You'll get to see a lot of these insights before it comes here on the YouTube channel. So latest, U.S. household debt hits new heights. Record-breaking rise. U.S. household debt climbs a staggering $230 billion in Q3 2023. Mortgage surge. The biggest bank chunk, mortgage debt, up $126 billion to a total of $12.14 trillion. Transport and education tally. Auto loans hit $1.6 trillion, while student debt matches step with a $30 billion hike. Credit crunch. Credit card debt swells by $48 billion, totaling $1.08 trillion. In just 3 years, household debt swelled by approximately 21%. As inflation rages, it seems debt has become a paradoxical weapon of choice. The separation of state and money is needed. Bitcoin is needed. Crypto is needed. Altcoins are needed. And so I hope that you're starting to see what's going on here, guys. Now, let's look at what has happened to Bitcoin following certain events that have happened over this past year. So when Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, there was a 20% surge in the price of Bitcoin. Since the Russia-Ukraine war, 16% drop in US Treasury ETF and a 50% price increase in Bitcoin. Since the Hamas-Israel war, 3% down on treasuries and 24% increase in Bitcoin. Unfortunately, these horrific events are good for markets. And it doesn't look like any of these wars are going to end anytime soon. In fact, you have Janet Yellen saying that U.S. can certainly afford both wars in Israel and Ukraine. And where do you think that money's going to come from? Money printer, of course, because they don't have the money to just give out, right? They have to print it. It has to come from somewhere. So yeah, of course, unlimited spending power from the U.S., but that has to come from somewhere. And every dollar that they print is added to circulation, which is decreasing the purchasing power of every dollar that you hold. So where do you want to put your assets? Where does everybody else want to put their assets? I'll talk about that in just a second. Let's listen to Larry Fink.
On the rumor, I think the rally today is about a flight to quality with all the issues around the Israeli war now, global terrorism. And I think there's more people running into a flight to quality, whether that is in treasuries, gold, or crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality.
So this is a game changer, guys. Most of you have probably seen this, but for the world's largest asset manager, Larry Fink, BlackRock, to come on the world stage on Fox Business and say that, completely changing the tone, that crypto and Bitcoin is a flight to quality because there's nowhere else that people can put their money, right? There's nowhere else. Right now, we saw real estate's, overpriced. I made a video not too long ago about 98 out of 100 US major cities are overpriced. So real estate is not a good place to put your capital. Stocks, uncertain as things start to collapse. We don't really know. They're also overvalued. It's been on a crazy bull run and things are inflationary. Gold, well, we don't really know. And gold is like kind of for the older people, right? Bitcoin is a newer, hipper thing, and everybody likes Bitcoin. It's a brand. Even as we saw, I forget the guy's name. What was it? Stanley Drunken Miller come out and say that Bitcoin is a brand. Everyone likes it, and it's it's non-confiscatable. It is artificially scarce. It's more scarce than Bitcoin, more scarce than diamonds, obviously more scarce than fiat. It is the most important thing on the table right now, and everybody understands this, guys. And as we start to see let me just one more time. So real quickly, let me just point this out because we did have this dip earlier, and one of the reasons I want to make this video today was to encourage you to not get scared when we have this dips. Look at this bull run from 2017. So you had this run up, right, which we've been seeing. And this kind of looks like, this is kind of like this flat period over here. 2016 starts to come up a little bit, just like we have in all 2023. And then this is where it started to feel really bully run right here. So you had this nice little run up. This is probably what we saw recently, and it could come back down. The point is on this historic, meteoric 2017 bull run that we had, where everyone was getting super, super rich, you had these pullbacks along the way. And if you had sold too early, you would have missed out on all this. Imagine that you had gotten, scared and sold your Bitcoin here at this first pullback, 38%, and you just got terrified and didn't buy back in until probably you had bought back in here at the top or something, right? Understand where we are in the market cycle. Down 38%, up 138%, down 38%, up 106%, down 33%, up 211%. You get the picture. Understand where we are, guys. Understand that Bitcoin is the future. Crypto is the future. It's here to stay. Have conviction. We are still incredibly early. For Bitcoin to go to 1 million, absolutely, I think it's going to do that. Could it go to 10 million? I also believe that for sure, especially as we see the massive inflation of the US dollar and fiat currencies around the world. It is the best store of value, the best money that the world has today, and everybody is starting to wake up to this fact. So make sure that you're well positioned, understand the market, have conviction. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.